Do you know you have blessings, but can't seem to feel it? Like, you know in your head that you could sit for 2 days straight and count the numerous blessings you've been given. And yet somehow right now in this moment where you are, even in all of your success, you can't feel it. You don't connect to it. There's no sense of actually having this experience about your successful journey. And wondering if this is all that there is, and maybe even not knowing really what your purpose is. And if that's you, then hi, I'm Jen. And I work with women just like you that are in midlife, very successful, right? From all perspectives from the outside looking in, you built the dream, you have all of the things, and you got there and you went, this isn't anything like what I thought. This isn't anything that is filling my soul anymore, and just completely disconnected from it. And what we do is we get clarity, right? We get clarity about where you've been, where you're going, how you're going to get there. That's what we're going to do in our work together. And whether that means you stay where you are or you change lanes to do it, that's what we figure out in our work. So, as a clinical social worker of over 20 years, I'm going to talk about, and I did this in my vlog this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about acknowledging the goodness and also balancing the shit. Because that's something that we need to have the skill to do. And before I dive into that, the very first thing I really want to do is I first want to give a shout out of gratitude. Today is Veterans Day, and I wanted to say thank you so much to all of the men and women of service. I know so many people. I'm going to give a shout out as many to them as I can, and then we're going to get rolling, right? Because this is a day about acknowledging goodness. I called it something else, but today we're going to acknowledge the goodness first. I want to shout out to niece Christina, cousin Kylie, brother-in-law Jason, my dad Pete, my brother Pete, my uncle Tim. Oh my gosh, there's so many people. My grandfather. I think I had two grandfathers maybe that went into the service. Who else am I missing? Lisa, I could sit and count. Audrey, I just want to throw that out there, right? So one of the first things I want to do today, I have to do my spiel and come on in and blah, blah, blah. But I really want to say, right, I'm wearing a shirt today that says warrior. And I really want to hold honor and space for all of the people that provide service to us, to protect us and hold space. So first of all, I want to recognize that because I'm going to talk about warriors today. We're going to be talking about some stuff. And the first thing I wanted to do is just grant that kindness, that gratitude first, and then move on from there. So I wanted to address that because as we talk today, I'm going to be talking about various kinds of warriors. And I didn't want to not recognize that and then leave that sort of separate because I don't want to dismiss that and miss that opportunity to really hold space. So if you know someone in the service, and I'm sure I missed 25 people, John, I'm sitting, now they're coming to me, of course, right? All of these people that I know, I've been really blessed to have many family and friends that have been in the service. And so please make sure today that you hold space for that and send gratitude and honor. Big deal to them. They really feel that and appreciate that. We want to say thanks. Okay. So that was one. Today's also 11/11. So what? Today's 11/11. So what, right? I want to talk about this because as we go into our talk today about thanks and acknowledging the goodness. 11/11 to a lot of people is a spiritual day, which sounds really funny. So it's really neat. I don't know if Veterans Day is always 11, and if it is, that of course that's a beautiful coincidence. I don't recall that. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not sure if that's always the same day or not. But what I want to say is that 11/11 is actually a really incredible spiritual day, which sounds kind of goofy, but I want you to roll with me for a minute. So it's really neat to actually be in here with all of you on this day and really kind of taking some time to talk about the spiritual components of what I teach as well. I realized in talking to someone this week, who was I talking to? I can't remember. It doesn't matter, but it's like one of those things where I always like to remember the story about what I was talking about. And someone was like, oh, you talk about blah, blah, blah. And I was like, spiritual person. So I want to be really clear. Yes, that is a big piece of what I do and bring. And I think sometimes it's easy for me to get in and talk from that therapeutic headspace and experience, and then forget to talk about the spiritual in the same way that I actually live it. And so I wanted to be bringing that in today and just talking a little bit about, 11/11 is really this idea of this incredible rebirth and beginning again, and a powerful day of setting intention and manifestation. It's almost like whatever you would want today, you want to be really mindful that like you're kind of like an extra super huge powerhouse today, which is really cool. And so this morning I got up and I have had a really funky week, really funky week. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Bad week. And today felt really, I woke up and energetically felt so much better because it's been a minute. It's been yucky. And I was like, oof, I need to like shake that shit off. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Has anybody else had a weird week? I want to hear about this. It's been fascinating because as I read, in socials and things like that, I'm seeing so many of us report the same idea. Like, yeah, I feel like there's something kind of funky going on. There's something hanging around. Like, I don't know what it is and I don't like it. And so if you've been experiencing that, please drop that in the chat because I know that so many of us have been talking about it. And then one of my good friends on Facebook had also mentioned it today. And I'm like, okay, there it is. It's not just me. I can't be alone. So if you're in that same wheelhouse, please feel free to share that in the comments if you've had a hard or weird week or felt a heaviness. So sometimes heading into things like this, we'll have that sense there's an energetic experience. I guess that's what I'd want to use that we have, that it feels a little bit heavier, harder. So someone was like, is something in retrograde? Because like, what is this shit going on? Like, that's exactly what it is many of us are having this experience of a heaviness, of kind of a weight, and or stress and or exhaustion. There's a lot of people talking about how tired they feel. These are things that we kind of know that it can just be us and there can be things, but also that there can be influences around us that create that experience. And so it was really funny. One of my friends said to another person who was commenting about this, like, thanks for making me not feel crazy because I was having this week and I'm like, what is this? And so the neat thing, the good news is that 11/11 is like a rebirth and a new beginning. Okay. So 11/11 is actually like a magical number. If you look in numerology, it's like angelic. Like there's all these ideas that I won't dive into because I'm zero an expert in that, like a zero an expert. All I will say is I do believe very firmly that we actually are influenced by the things around us, right? Whether it's like the tides, the moon, astrological things. I don't know enough about it. I just know that I do believe we are influenced. Well, I know we are. We're influenced by all the things around us. I saw it in my therapy practice for a million years. And so I just know that this is true. But I wanted to really speak into that before we get rolling today. And set the tone, because if someone doesn't know that, do yourself a solid and go do some reading about it. Go read up on 11/11. What does that number mean? Like, why do people see it as a new beginning? And so today is really neat. So 11/11/11 was really powerful. Totally missed the window. Got off a coaching call, was getting some breakfast. Totally missed it. I was like, oh shit. I was going to take just a minute and just solid sit and just breathe and be present. That didn't happen. That's okay. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to acknowledge the goodness today. I'm going to go back and really quickly redefine things for you all because I'm going to talk about this today. And I really want us to embrace that idea of what that means for the month. So thanks is the habit of action and acknowledging and naming the kindness surrounding you, right? So this is really about, and you've already heard me speak to this, making things an action, right? We don't just say the words because the words don't mean anything if there's no action backing them up. Okay, that's one. And we want to acknowledge and name kindness. And so we also have to be looking for it. So this week in my blog, I talked about that. You can go and listen to that and catch that on my website if you'd like. Just hanging out there. But today I wanted to talk about, my message was see it, give it. So I want to talk for a minute about this week. So this week was a shit show. If I said anything else, I would be a lion. So it started on Sunday. I woke up, there was a family loss. I was already exhausted. Saturday, I had photos done and I did a video that was really important to my business. And it was like just a crazy day. So I crashed on Saturday night, woke up to a loss. And then had to, call and talk to my dad. It was my dad's brother that passed away, and is super sad about that. And then had to call and talk to my dad and process my dad. And then in the process of that, really realizing my dad's cognitive impairments are really coming through, and it's serious. And I knew it was coming, but it was like, and then the next day he called me to tell me that my uncle passed away because he did not remember talking to me the day before. Okay. And I want to lay it out because of this, because that's human. I got on Sunday or Monday, couldn't even tell you what day it was. And I think it was Sunday, and it was a mess. I was a mess. And I talked about it. I cried about it. I really wanted to show up again with that transparency. And so here was the hard part, right? So that was already hard enough. I mean, like that was just, and this is life, right? This is, I'm not, everybody's got their things, right? This is like, and that's what I talk about a lot is like, I got my things, you got your things. We're human. We come in, we've got experiences we're all going to have. And I think the hard thing is it stuck. And that doesn't happen very often for me. It doesn't take very long. And usually I'm kind of kicking myself out of a bad space. And it started on Sunday. And I'm telling you, it rolled right into Monday. I had some not great interactions on Monday that really hurt my feelings. I've said, like, it was like a thing. And I know, and here's what I want to say. This was my thought I had. Take this for what this is worth. And I would love to hear your opinion on this. Here's what I really realized. 2 things. 1, the darkness is important. I'm writing something down because I gotta tell you guys a story in a minute. The darkness is important. And I want you to think about it this way. When you are spiritually tired, when you have a lot going on, I want you to imagine being spiritually tired. Okay. And what happens is we become susceptible. So things that we would typically, like Wonder Woman, right, with my big like bracelet wrist, like I could totally ping off and not even like bat an eye. That was not this week. So it was like every single thing that came in. And another friend of mine, oh my God, I sent her a message and I was talking to her about some stuff, some services. And she was like, I totally feel you. I've had the hardest week. I've been doing some medication changes. And I just have felt like I'm taking everything personally and everything is hard and emotional and painful. And I'm like, yes. That is what I'm getting at. So what happens is when we feel spiritually tired, it's almost like we're susceptible, like we are physically when we get sick. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever been there? Has anybody ever been? Okay, so this is my reference. In college, I swear to God, you come home for like Christmas, right? And crash for 3 days. And inevitably, I felt like half of us got sick. Why? Because we finally slowed down enough that our bodies were like, what are you doing? Right? Because cramming and staying up late and studying and the stress level is super high. We're really susceptible to stuff. So when we're spiritually tired, right? And that was what this was. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit differently. I was sad. I was anxious. Whatever day it was, literally was having like panic. I was trying to take care of things on Sunday. I was literally having like I couldn't catch my breath and I was starting to feel like, oh, something's coming on. And that is super not my normal. I mean, like, trust me, I run a little more anxious as a person, human, period. But this was like not my normal, right? So I could tell. I was like, oh, and I went and had to ask my husband for help because I like couldn't organize. I couldn't be like focused. So I just want to say that I think it's really important we understand that it's like spiritual exhaustion. And so from Saturday flying high, right? From this like, hey, I just knocked some shit off my list. This is great. This is grand. I've been waiting. I'm excited. To crashing into Sunday and feeling like I was hit with just a brick wall. And it took me out. And it was soul deep. So between Sunday and the loss, and then, okay, so then yesterday, and I want to bring us up to fast forward to Wednesday. And I say to my husband, my poor husband, I go, could you come in and talk to me for a couple minutes? I just have a couple things I need to process. First of all, that's bullshit. There is no such thing as talking to me for a minute. Can we just be really honest? If you've met me, if you've listened to me, you can understand where I'm going. Okay, let's just be honest about that shit. Okay, so I say to him, hey, could you come in? I need to, process about a couple things. And oh, of course, he's super supportive. Yeah, I'll come listen. I had a come undone. When I say I had a come undone, what I mean is like crying, and I don't again, this is not my normal MO, like crying and asking these big questions and like telling I'm going back to old stories. Like I'm telling him like, this is totally triggering me. And I'm going way back to when I was 17 and I'm going back to this experience. And like, why is this happening to me? And like, just all of these questions, these horrible, profound, philosophical, painful, spiritual questions. And my husband, as always, holds space, is so supportive and kind. And he wants to get up and hug me. I'm like, no, I need the space to say these words. Like, I just needed him to literally hold space. We're in the bathroom. He's sitting on a stool. I'm sitting on the toilet lid, right? We're talking. And I'm like, I just need to say the words. And so I sat with him and I was going through, and here's what really profoundly struck me. I have a lot of shit. I have a lot of grief, yo. When I start listing it out, the layers of grief are so profound. And what happened was it happened because it came in layers. sort of. I think it caught me off guard. And the more that I processed out loud with my husband about it, like this and this, like, my uncle and then my dad, like realizing that my dad is he's not going to be the same ever again. Like that huge loss. My mom has already passed away. Like I was sitting there, and again, bear with me because this is not going to stay negative. This is not going to stay negative, but also the negative is okay. So when you hear me say both. Okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm outlining my daughter's a senior. She's graduating. She is now done with swimming, which was like a profound and hard decision for her. She was grieving it. So I'm grieving it. We didn't get a formal goodbye. We didn't get a final meet. We didn't get right. So I'm going through and I'm just listening, like, and this and this and this, and why is this? And how come this? And what the hell is that? And what the fuck about that? I mean, I'm half raging and I'm crying and I'm a mess, right? I'm having this spiritual whatever. And my husband just, as always, again, holding space. Hi, Karen. And so just holding space. And that was a lot. Like, I think I finally had this recognition of like, oh, it's because it came in layers. And so you kind of think like, oh, the layers happening. I kind of got it. I kind of know what's happening. And then it was like, whatcha, like, no, like ninja karate chop to the carotid. Like, no, like I actually do not have my shit together. I do not. And so so what happened was, this is where I'm going. I'm going to acknowledge the goodness. Just hang with me. I wanted to talk about this because it snuck up on me. And have you ever been there where the things sneak up, right? And I'm self-aware. Like I want to say like I meditate to take care of myself and do the things. I was a clinician for over 20 years. Like I know the things, right? This is not a like unheard of thing. I understand the humanity of this, right? The visceral piece of being a person and going through so many things, right? And so I was like, oh shit, like I really like just did not recognize how it was stacking, right? And I teach in layers, we'll be talking about next week. And so I teach in layers, right? And so like but I missed it. I kind of missed it for like the forest for the trees, like one grief. And watching one of my daughter's dreams die is like really hard, right? Like really hard. And so it was just these layers of stuff and this profound kind of breakdown that I had, which is totally not necessarily in my character. And what I did was, right, I'm going to talk about radical self-care next week. I talk about this so much and why this is important. So what I did was I was like, and then I had friends ask me a couple times this week, like, what can I do? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like I'm going to tell you what, sometimes we don't know. Have you been here? Have you been in the place where, right, particularly in grief? And I think grief is a really big one for us. Like, I think we can feel it in any emotion, probably overwhelm it too, I think. Well, no, that's not fair. All of them. If something's bad enough, if something's hard enough for us, I do think it can be really hard for us that people mean well. And they're like, how can I? I'm like, I don't know. Like I talked to one of my friends yesterday. I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, you're so sweet for asking. I don't know what to say, but I just know that I feel like a mess. And so what was great was one of my friends yesterday, I'm going to talk about this in a second as well, acknowledging the goodness. I was like, what if I came and worked from home with you? I'm working too, but what if we just sat at the same table and had coffee in the morning and we had lunch together? And like, she started getting really creative outside the box. We're both really busy. Our schedules are wonky. Like, it's hard for us to get together. I was so grateful for her being like, what if we did something like this? I was like, yes. So I don't know if we'll get it together, but her giving me something to hang on to was something that I really needed yesterday. I talked with, I think, 3 or 4 people yesterday. So radical self-care was telling people how awful it was. And I don't tell everybody this. This is like the inner circle. If like I reach out to you and I'm like, the train has come off the tracks, right? Like, you're my people, because I was really having a day and I didn't reach, and that's not fair because I had some people that I did not reach out to, but I did have some people I was already interacting with. So it was like, they were already kind of front and center. There was a couple people I would have reached out to, but I just didn't end up coming to that yesterday. But people profoundly stepped in to support me. My husband always does. Always. My husband is literally one of the singularly most supportive people I've ever met in my entire life. And one of my grandest cheerleaders of my entire journey. But I want to say, I shout out to one of my very best friends in the world, Natalie and Sarah, who both took time. Natalie was having a bad day and we just got together, and I laughed when we got on the phone. I go, I'm not sure how 2 wrongs are going to make a right here, but we're going to give it a go. And I think there was just something about connecting to her and like hearing her talk about how hard it was. Like she's having her own, like we were just, and it wasn't tit for tat. It was like really like, where are you, and holding space for it. So that was kind of like the beginning of the journey. And then as the day wore on, I got to talk to my friend Angel. Like, so Angel was up in there like listening. And then she was like, we're going to take 3 minutes. We're just going to sit in the shit. We're just going to let you be in the shit. What would you say to that person if you had a minute to say it? She just right in there and like, what would you say? And blah, 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 right. And then, you know, I'm like better, and we go on and we have a great conversation and talk to Sarah later in the day. I just had these incredible spaces where people held room for me, but also I was willing to speak to how gross it feels and how yuck I feel being in these spaces because it's not my norm. And I'm so grateful. And then a client of mine, we were going to meet last night, and she called me. She's like, I'm in a funky place. I'm not even kidding. Like, look at how many people, like you can start to see it. It's lining up, stacking up, right? There's been an energy about things going on around us, and many people are being impacted and are feeling the weight of these things. And so I have all these, you know, I'm telling you, these layers of grief, absolutely. And other people have stuff too, right? So there's warriors. I want to speak to this for a minute because warriors look like so many things. And I want to invite you to be both a giver and a receiver. And I usually talk about this a lot more around the holidays. I mean, we're almost there, because I think it's really crucial to our human experience, actually, to be good at giving and receiving. I suck at receiving. If you suck at receiving, put it in the comments. I suck at receiving. It is so easy and natural for me to give, to dole out whatever it is that I have to offer, my kindness, my time, holding space, meditation. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, this is like, I love doing that. That's really like what gives me so much joy. And so I suck at receiving. And so to me, it was really interesting to have to like, okay, I am going to like, you know, receive. And so I just want to give a shout out to anyone who feels like they sometimes suck at receiving. Karen, you sent me a request to be in my video. Do you really want to go live? I'll invite you. I'm just telling you. Sometimes I think people push the button in Instagram and think that they're like saying something, but I just want to ask you, if you want to come live with me, I'll have you. I love it. That's my favorite. So I want to talk about being that giver and receiver. And I think that we want to work on that. And warriors look like different things. And warriors are people who do both. So, I mean, when I think of warriors, I think of course, you know, people in the service that have done things for, what does that mean? Karen, I love you. Karen, it really means that you will come on live with me on Instagram. So your face will pop up and we will be like conversing almost like a FaceTime, like you'll see both of us. So I do invite people to come on and do live coaching, but that's not something you have to do if you didn't mean to push it and understand what that meant. That's why I asked people, because I was like, a couple times I'm like, oh, people want to come in, and then I push them on, they're like, surprise, and they like really don't want to be on live. So just so I don't like bring you on and then you're like, oh my God. So I want to talk about this idea, right, of like warriors are people that are good at doing both. And I know so many warriors of both spiritual and emotional pain. Face is frightening, not today. You're okay. Just hang with me then, Karen. You're good. I'm glad I asked you. I didn't just bring you on. I almost pushed the button. I was like, I'm going to ask her because that might not be what she wants. I truly believe that warriors are people that live through so many different things. And I told a story of a client that really touched my heart in my vlog this week. And I'm holding her in the space today as well. But warriors are people that step into the face of scary shit. That's what warriors are to me. They step into the face of scary shit. And sometimes that looks like literal scary things that are happening, you know, for like soldiers and people like that when we're talking about the armed services. But we're also talking about, I know moms that have lost children. That's a warrior. I know women who wanted to have children and couldn't, and that's a warrior. I know women who have had to claw their way to the top of their game and, you know, felt like they had to give up a lot of things along the way. That's a warrior. So I want to talk about warriors look like a lot of things, right? And so if you know one, feel free to put them in the chat, because like we really need to acknowledge goodness. And warriors are just those people that show up and hold space and protect and love and nurture. And for me, this week, and I said this to somebody who I've been talking about coaching with, and she was like, you know, I'm having a really hard time right now. And we were texting. And I'm having a really hard time right now. And I really want to do this, but I'm also like, you know, in a really bad place. And I'm like, you know, I get that. And guess what? And here's the deal. Warriors, right? This is where we hold space for each other. And I said to her, my people fucking saved me this week. Those people that were willing to hold space for me when I was in a funky way. I mean, not just me, hordes of people were in a funky way this week. And those people saved me. So I really truly believe that we all show up as warriors, and we just show up in different ways in different moments. And I'm going to invite you to embrace that. I'm going to invite you to think about being a lighthouse for other people. And this week, I had to receive it. So I'm acknowledging the goodness that I received from my friends and family. Like I received incredible support and loving kindness, like a random email with a woman who like was willing to tell me vulnerably about her own journey and how shitty it's been lately. Because I said, thank you for your kindness, because today is really fucking hard. And she just legit wrote me this like I was so grateful, because what she was saying to me was, I see you there. She was being a warrior. I see you there. I feel you there. I'm with you there. That's what that kind of thing means. So today when I was texting that person and I said, I too am in a state of grief. I too am in the struggle. I am in the shit. I'm in the shit with you. So we sometimes wait, all of us, for the perfect time. Have you been there? It's going to be the perfect time for psychotherapy. It's going to be the perfect time to invest in the blah, 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 the perfect time for vacation, the perfect time to come undone. All of us. There is no such thing. That is a complete myth and fallacy. There is no perfect time to be a warrior. And I really want to invite you to be able to be the warrior and hold the light for somebody, but also to be willing to receive the light. And so this morning, when I put my heart on the line and sent that to a client, I was like, I just want you to know, I feel you, I get you, I receive you. Did it with a client last night who called and was like, Jen, I just don't feel in the energetic space to do this today. I was like, I feel you, I see you, I hear you, I receive that. This is also where I'm at. I never did that as a therapist. I mean, I would tell somebody if I was having a bad day or something was going on, but not a lot, because that wasn't my role. And as I've stepped into this coaching realm, I'm like, oh, that's right. I can say more about this journey and not be concerned that someone is going to feel the weight of that and not be able to do their own work, right? And so I'm starting to get better at that and like reach out and really say the things, because I really believe that that's really going to be the springboard for somebody stepping into being their own warrior and being a warrior for somebody else. And so I just want to emphasize, I cannot say this enough. You are a warrior for others when you are giving things out, and you are a warrior for yourself when you take the time you need. And I really had a gigantic wake-up call this week about how hard it's been and about the state of my affairs and how I've been feeling and the layers of grief that I haven't really they really all kind of culminated in 1 week. It happens to all of us. This is not just me, right? This is like nothing unusual or strange. It's just this week was my week of recognition and awareness, where it felt like the train came off the tracks. And that's always what I say. It's like, oh, I can tell things are not going good because I'm really stressed out right now. And I can tell when I start to get irritable and grouchy and the unkind thoughts start peeking in, and I'm exhausted physically, I know like, oh, something is bad amiss, because that is not my normal state of affairs. And so when things start feeling like they're taking a bite out of me, if somebody says something small, or like I just wasn't in the right space, and all of a sudden, have you been this way? Have you felt this way? And like when you're in that vulnerable state, right? We talked about all the way at the beginning of this time together today, that we are like in a vulnerable state when we're in a spiritual place of pain. So I wanted to give it a different face rather than just saying the emotional and talking like this very scientific, sometimes we're kind of in a spiritual crisis that it's like, I really just don't know what to do with myself. And that was where I kind of felt like I was this week. Like, what is happening to me? And this is not my normal state of being. And I'm like, I don't feel like I can tuck it back in. And typically I'm much more resilient than that. And I knew something was really bad. And so be good at doing both. I have to work on it because receiving is really shitty for me. So I'm always really honest about that. I'm a work in progress. However, I have said several times, as forms of radical self-care this week, I'm struggling. I don't know what I need. And I receive your kindness. That was how I have stepped into that. I had a complete meltdown with my husband, which I don't typically do. There's areas where I made myself step into that because I teach it. And I believe in it. So furthermore, it's actually a spiritual practice I believe in, but really truly, like, I'm teaching it and I believe it and I need to model it, because if I'm going to ask somebody else to do it, I have to be willing to do it. And so I really pressed myself. So my client and I last night had this really profound conversation. We didn't do an official session, but it was so neat to just sit with her and talk about these things. Like, she's in a state like I'm in. And so she and I just, it wasn't commiserating in a bad way. It was like understanding, like holding space, like, yeah, I see that. That's hard. I feel that. And so she and I were really able to kind of sit in a space together, which is really different. And a radical form of self-care is telling her. A radical form of self-care for her was saying to me, I don't feel energetically in the space to use the time the way I want to use it. Is it okay if we do this a different time? She's like, I never do that. She's like, I never would, say something like that to someone. I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, I would want you to be able to say that to me, because that means you're doing the work. Okay. We're going to end on this idea. The light and the dark are both important in all of us. There isn't one of us on this planet that is free of hard experiences, because we're human. And I will be clear with you. I really like the positive. I mean, literally, can we? This is my new mantra mug, which I love. It has obviously positive energy. I got another one that says meditation. This company is grand. So anyway, so love my new mugs. But anyway, right. This is typically my jam. Full of hope, full of high vibe, energy, fast talking, right? Kind of fiery, passionate, excited, motivated, inspired, whatever. So when I typically run that way, something's distinctly off when I'm like in the shitter, which happens to all of us. But I want to say this. There's so much value to take away from being in the darkness. And I know myself, I want to stay away from that shadowy part of who I am. The old stories, the old thoughts, the stuff that I don't like in myself, right? And I said, you always know it's bad if I can't sit in my own skin. If I'm like, I don't even want my own freaking thoughts. You ever been there? God damn, that sucks, doesn't it? Like, you're like, I don't even want to be in my own head. And that's what I said to my husband. I go, I don't even want to be in my own body. I don't even want to be in my head. I can't even stand myself. It's just bad. And so I always know that that's a minute where I'm really like spiritually, like something's got to be addressed, because that's just not my normal thing. And yet that is a part of who I am. That is a part of who I am. And so we can't just always sit in the light. It's not human. I love your sweatshirt. Yes, I do. I got it at Ever Eve, Mary. So go look online. If you like the sweatshirt, I thought of you. It's so funny when I saw that you would pop in and see it. I literally was buying it. I'm like, Mary needs this sweatshirt. And so this is all for you, sister. So Ever Eve, go online. So I want to talk about how warriors do the hard work, and warriors show up as able to give and receive. That warriors are willing and able to step into the darkness and the light, right? I just love the high vibration. I love the hopefulness. I love the inspirational stuff. It's really my cup of tea. And if I lose sight of the shadowy parts, the old stories, the painful things, that's what makes me human. And so it's why I make myself go in and share the shadow parts with you guys, because I never want you to see me as like one-dimensional, like a flat Stanley. Why do I keep calling it flat Stanley? Flat Jennifer. No one knows the hell that is, but you've ever heard of flat Stanley, right? The idea is that it's one-dimensional. Well, I'm not one-dimensional, and neither are you. And here's the other kicker. And this is really true for me. Ugh, and I cannot emphasize, I can never emphasize this enough. And I never know if I'm getting this point across. The grittier the person that I meet, almost the more I love them. Have you had this experience? Almost the grittier the person, the deeper, harder experiences they had in their lives, almost the more I connect, because they're so real. And when I told the story in the vlog this week about an old client of mine that she complete inspiration. She had so many things happen to her. There was every reason she could have just stayed in bed and said, F this, and given up. I mean, when I truly say to you, I don't know that I had another client in my office in 20 years that had that many profound, hear me when I say profound losses, profound trauma. And she was one of the singularly most positive, happy, hopeful individuals I've ever met. She was a warrior. And so to me, that is really the heart of the matter, is that our pain, the darkness, the shadows, the struggles are really what keeps us human. It's really what makes us human and allows us to show up in a state of vulnerability. I now sound like I have something in my throat. Let's see if that makes it better. A little better. So I want you to be thinking about this, right? This idea that you are a warrior, that you are surrounded by warriors, and to acknowledge the kindness that you are given is so powerful, but also to be a receiver of it. And so that's what warriors do. Warriors, right? So I'm not being a warrior if I think all I'm going to do is go out and shoot out, Skittle colored rainbow stuff up my ass every day. That's not real. That's not real. That's not relatable. Right? So what's really relatable is the making meaning out of the shit. So this week I was granted teachers, and that's what I think the pain is. The pain is the teachers. And I needed to really look at that and go, oh, I'm really grieving a lot for a lot of things. So I'm going to have to take extra care of myself. Because right now, when I can tell when someone's saying a little something or do a little something, I feel like someone just took a big bite out of me. That's not my normal state of being. And it's okay that I suffer like everybody else. It's okay to take the time to attend to the pain, to be honest about that. And so what I hope to do is inspire each of you as warriors, right? Both, again, in honor and regard for our people in the military and gratitude for that. And also the human warriors that are out there being warriors in other profound ways. And to suggest to you that warriors don't just do one, but they do both. They live in the light and they live in the dark. They're both. And I love being the light. Oh boy, right? Does anybody else feel this? It's like so much better to be in the light. Wink, wink. I was listening to someone else talk about 11:11 today, and she was saying the same thing. And she's a healer. And she's like, all the light workers, she's like, we love doing this shit. This is our great stuff. We show up great when things are good. That's me, right? Rainbow Skittles out my ass. Like, I'm great at that. Like, oh, got it, right? It's when things come tumbling in that I go, what? Like, and I don't want to be in it. I don't want to be in it. And then I think this is the work you're doing here. This is the work you're doing here. You are working to be in a state of showing up to this, no matter what it is, no matter how uncomfortable it is, that the shadowy parts, the hard parts, the painful parts are actually what makes you show up in the world. And when we make meaning, we are practicing living into our purpose. And you knew I was going to tie it back, right? In some way. So full circle here. Making meaning is how we give ourselves purpose. And so one of the things I did for 20 years in a therapy practice was help people make meaning out of really painful shit. So I'm being granted a lesson. I can shut down, I could go away, but what that means is that this same pain is going to show up again and again and again and again until I unravel it. That's what it does for us. It's like the universal 2x4. Do you feel me? Like, that's what it's like. It's like, I'm going to keep showing up in this repetitive way until you freaking listen, because I am shouting out to you that you have something you need to take a look at. So I can either do that work or it'll just keep circling back. Well, I'd rather do the work. Thank you very much. That's some wisdom. That's my wisdom's talking, right? Because I've seen what happens. When we don't, it recycles itself and it comes in the form of physical pain, energetic blocks, spiritual blocks. It shows up in ways I don't want. Thanks very much. Right? No, thank you. Been there, done that. I'm not taking that trip again. Right? Pass. So I have to catch myself and go, that's right. It's okay. Do the work. It's all right. It's okay. Do the work. It's all right. It's okay. Do the work. Be in it here, because being in it here means that it will move on and you can learn something from it and keep going. That's the money. So I'm going to be a warrior in being in it so that I can make sense of it, figure out what it's showing up to teach me, and keep going. So that was the work. Okay. And so I wanted to talk about that because I really wanted to bring that forward. Like, be okay. So light and dark, let's talk about this. 11:11. I mentioned this at the beginning of our time today. Today is 11:11. And again, spiritually, a lot of people believe this is like a rebirth, like an incredible energetic day. Okay. Where you can manifest. You have like extra awesome superpowers of intention and manifestation. And I want to invite you to really step into this day with that notion. Now, I don't often do this, but I can't show you guys. Well, I'll try. I'm going to show YouTube really quick. YouTube and Facebook gets to see I set up over there this like little station with all kinds of extra candles and incense. And I just did sort of this, like, I needed an extra day to deal with some of the stuff that's been going on. Like, it's been hard. I needed to just cleanse myself spiritually. I needed to show up. And so what I did was I made this space for myself. I was saying thank you and prayers as I was lighting candles today. Like, it was a really intentional practice this morning to welcome in this day, to welcome in the rebirth spiritually, to step into a new state of being. And I literally feel so much better, so much better for having taken that time, for having really attended to where I've been, to praying and saying gratitude as I was lighting candles for all the gifts that I've been giving, because I've been given so many I can't count. I'm sure most of us have, right? And really bringing that awareness, this thanks, this action of saying thank you, the actions of being grateful forward. And so I sent out messages saying thank you. I have sent it directly to people via face-to-face and text. And like, I have just been like all over, like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are showing up and I'm grateful and I receive, which I suck at doing and I'm working on it. And so I'm literally using the language. I receive. We're going to be talking about language next week. I receive you. I receive this kindness. I receive your love. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as we have today, Veterans Day, thanking people, witnessing, right? So I want you to really think about that. That's so much. That's literally fire hosing material, you guys. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. Literally yesterday, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Like, I got the list. I know what I'm usually supposed to talk about. And I was like, I don't even, this. I woke up, I was like, got it. Came right through. Bam. Yep. This is what was meant to be. I was saving my sweatshirt. I hadn't worn it yet. I'm like, today is the day. Today is the day. I'm going to remind you, I'm going to remind myself all day long. I'm going to see this shirt and I'm going to remember that this is what we can do for each other. To be the light in the darkness and to be looking for it. See it, receive it, give it. See it, receive it, give it. All day long, I want you to be like, yep, see it, receive it, give it. Can you do that for me? See it, receive it, give it. So you even in that statement, you can see we're doing both. I see it and I receive it and then I give it back out again. So I want you to have that lens of looking for it everywhere you go. And I want you to tap into that knowledge that you have it within you. Today is 11/11. You get a new beginning. This is like a new beginning. And you guys know I love new beginnings. That's what the lotus is all symbolic of, right? So it's not laughing lotus for no reason at all. So today is your day, a spiritual space of sacredness that you get to step into. And like I said, I don't talk a lot about this. I'm going to have to talk about it more because I was talking to somebody and they were like, you really like spiritual? Blah. Listen to me. I'm as woo as they come. So if you don't know, now you do. The secret's out. It's not a secret. And once you start working with me, everybody's like, oh yeah, like, cause it's everywhere. So I just had a coaching client this morning. We were like, had all the things out here. I'm not kidding. There was crystals, there was oils, it was so good. And like so much fun and like just laughter and connection and energy. And that's what we talk about. And that's my favorite stuff to talk about because it's so powerful and it's so healing. And there's some of my very favorite modes of like kind of getting in there and creating change, right? And so I wanted to talk about all of that today, bringing in some of the spiritual, giving you a different way to think about it, thinking about emotional pain as spiritual pain, right? Thinking that sometimes it's also spiritual that we're going through something that's really challenging. Because I think sometimes it's like, oh, I have a bad day. Like, I'm all of us, like, oh, I like kind of, pass it off like, oh, no big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. I'm not saying it's end of the world big deal, but it's a big deal to each of us. Our pain is, our stories are, they're really important. They are what makes us who we are. And making meaning of that is always the direct path into living into your purpose. So with self-care. So I could talk about this for 18 hours. We're not going to. So here's what I want to leave you with. See it, receive it, give it. Okay, say it with me. See it, receive it, give it. That's one thing I want you to leave today with. I want you to go out in the world. I want you to do it. I want you to come back and tell me what happens. Because I always love this. Like, I really love to give, like, this is the coachy part of me, like homework. Go do it. Come back and tell me. Tell me what happens. Tell me what your experience is like. Like I went in this week. I asked for help. I told people I don't like to do that. I was like, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Okay. So I don't like doing that anymore. Then you do, right? I did it because it was a profound radical form of self-care. Okay. It's part of spiritual hygiene, which I'm not going to get time to talk about today, but I love this concept, right? Spiritual hygiene. I want you to be thinking differently about some of these things. My idea of the world is to come in and shake shit up and not just leave us all sitting in our same old spot we've always been, like, autopilot, right? Cruise control, doing life. Okay. No. You get one time, right? One go around this time. For those of you that believe in karma, but like, right, one go around this time. We get one go around. We want to do it as well as we can. And then we want to make meaning, because that is where the healing happens. It's in the meaning making where the healing happens. So, okay, for this week, what I invite you to do, head to my website at laughinglotuswellness.com, laughinglotuswellness.com. There's going to be a pop-up on my home space. If you just go to my homepage and you give about 2-3 seconds, internet, beep, bam, that'll pop up, that'll come up. And what you do is sign up for this summit. So we have a Women of Brilliance self-care summit going on that we're at the end of this first week, and we've got next week. Hear me. Okay. Hear me. There have already been 2 incredible speakers. We've got Nancy Deutsch on tonight. I'm going to be in the chat for her, supporting her people and making sure that everyone's having a great experience. Do not miss. She's going to be talking about the intuitive advantage. She is freaking fire. We have had Natalie Marr, Dr. Natalie Marr on already. We've had Bridget Sobis, who's a coach, on last night. Tonight, we've got Nancy. Next week, we've got Devin Wolf. We've got Heather Hornung, and we've got myself on Thursday night, wrapping everything up, pulling it all together. And I'm going to tell you, you do not want to miss out on this summit. And hear me loud and clear. Each single one of us is going to bring something different. You will not have, I'm telling you what, every single night, just go check it out. You'll be like, energetically, it's super funny. We're all totally wired different, totally different. So it's going to be so cool to have that stacked, layered. This is exactly how I teach. It's the layers of information, the layers of wisdom, the layers of energy that you're going to be bringing in that's so powerful. So here's how that works, okay? 1, sign up even if you're late. Sign up even if you're late. You can sign up the entire week. It's not like you can like, oh, I only had to sign up and be there. You're not like going to show up to one of the evenings and go, oh my God, shit, I don't know what the hell's going on. That's not how this is going to be, okay? So each one is standalone. What I want to get to you, invite a friend. You need self-care. Your friends need self-care. Come on. You are going to take something away from these chats. The other thing I'm going to tell you is this. We're only going to have the replays. This is how it's going to work. We finally couldn't get our shit together on how to do the replay, because it was a little bit tricky to get the tech stuff kind of ironed out in the very beginning of this. So we're going to send out the replays next Friday. They're only available for the weekend, and then they're coming down. And I'm not saying this really truly. They're going Friday. They're going to be up, all the replays, and then they're going to be gone after the weekend. So you have the weekend to go and absorb. So if you missed one, if you're like, oh, I really wanted to hear that one and I couldn't be there that night, they're all going to be live and available to you with our connections. You can reach out to us if you wanted to ask questions or anything like that. It's all going to be in there. Okay. That email's going out Friday. Do not miss this opportunity. All of these women are fucking fire. I was like, I want to be in a summit. I've never been asked. I fucking made one. Okay. This is how I'm wired. Okay. Then I'll just create that shit. I'm telling you, there are women that I know from a coaching group that we were all in. They're incredible. Somebody out there needs that resource. That's why we did this. Okay. It's service. It costs you nothing. $0 involved on your part. The only thing that you need is your email to send you the link. Do not miss this. So you can go right to my website, laughinglotuswellness.com. And you'll, like I said, give it 5 seconds max. You'll see a pop-up and it'll say sign up for the summit. It'll take you to the page, click on the register, done. 10 seconds. Do not miss it. These women are, they are soul, they are fire. They want to help other women get to where they want to go. Tonight, I am so honored to be holding space for Nancy. And I'm like excited to hear I'm like excited. I've been plugging into all of them in the nights because I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what they have to say. And I know them all. I kind of know what they're going to talk about. And I'm freaking signing in because I want to hear the magic that they're bringing. So that should say something to you, right? It's like, oh yeah. No, I'm fucking signing in. I'm listening. Don't miss out on this. And don't miss out on those replays because truly they're going to be there for a few days and then they're coming down because we just can't manage it. All of us kind of can't babysit stuff. So that was our solution. I don't want you to miss out. Tell a friend. Tell another woman. Someone needs the message that we're telling. Each one of us, somebody out there. This is how you're a warrior. You share your shit. The warriors that are teaching these classes are there in service. We're not getting paid. We're not getting paid for showing up and teaching these classes and holding space for other women in the room. We're not getting paid for that. We want you to have this information so much. We're taking 2 weeks and providing it. So we have class tonight, Thursday nights, Nancy Deutsch, The Intuitive Advantage. She's freaking amazing. She's going to bring her magic in. You guys will, I swear to God, take something away from every single night. Then next week, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings. Those are the last 3 nights of the event. I'm bringing up the very last night on Thursday. Come and sit with me. I will be talking about radical self-care and purpose. Shocking, right? That's what I'm going to be coming in with at the very end. But I'm going to tell you there is so much value in each and every single one of these evenings. These women alone, I don't even know what this would cost if we were getting paid to go do an event. I'm thousands of dollars. I mean, truly. And it's not about the money. It's about the energy of it. But I just want you to understand that's the value that you're actually really getting. So if you're more of a dollars and cents person, like that intellectual thing, like this is really worthy. And so people have been having great experiences in there so far. I'm telling you, it's such a beautiful journey to be with each of them. And you will take something powerful away, I promise. Please come ask questions. Here's the other thing. We love questions. I am such a question fan. I love them in my comments, in the chats. Like I am such a fan of questions because it means you're engaged and you're learning. Come tonight, listen to Nancy, ask your questions. This is a safe space. In those rooms, when we are holding space for you, those are safe spaces to ask questions. So bring your questions, bring your pads of paper, bring your open-mindedness, your intuition, right? Energy, we're going to be talking energy a lot next week, which super fires me up. Heather's going to ring it in, and then I'm going to be bringing it in on Thursday and talking more about energy. Yeah, because I freaking love that stuff. And so we are bringing it into you from the comfort of your home with a computer screen in your jammies, your cup of tea, whatever. Come join us. Again, easy sign up, laughinglotuswellness.com. Wait for the pop-up. The pop-up will show up. Bam, click that button, get signed in, off you go. I also have a free page sitting right there underneath of that. If you haven't gotten it, you're welcome to sign into that as well. But I just want to get you in that summit. Okay. Tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 o'clock if you're out on the East Coast, and 5 o'clock if you're on the West Coast. So it's a little bit early for West Coasters, but that's okay. You can catch it later. Again, right, next weekend, we're going to Friday, all of them are going to come back out. You will not miss anything, even if you can't be there for a night. Do not skip signing up for this. Even if you have to take it in bite-sized pieces next weekend to, maybe you missed something. Don't sweat that. Each and every one is its own thing. Come the nights you can, catch the replays for the ones you can't be there for. I can't, that's all I can say. I'm just telling you, everyone's amazing. Everyone's bringing their own fire. And so do not miss out. I'm super excited to be there this tonight for Nancy, because Nancy's awesome. So please go check that out and come hang with us and share a space. You will take something away. You will be changed, I promise, for joining us for this journey. So, all right, friends, this is Jen signing off. You guys are amazing. I'm so grateful for the time and space, acknowledging the goodness. I want to send you out in the world, see it, receive it, give it, see it, receive it, give it. I want you to go out. I want you to recognize today for the spiritual journey that it is, and a new start that you get to actually manifest the things you really want. Go out, use this energy. That's what this is right now. That's really powerful for the spiritual people that are following me. This is a really big day to get out there and begin unraveling and working into this next thing that you want to step into. This is a beautiful time and energy for that. So set some intentions, manifest the shit out of the things that you want. So today is really powerful that way. Want to send out my final thank yous to my God. I've been so blessed. Literally my very best friends. I have Natalie, I've got Sarah, I've got Angel. Katie was such a warrior yesterday. My God, Debbie was a warrior yesterday. I had so many people around me. My husband, really get out there, and I'm thanking them publicly. Like, this is like, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I receive that kindness. Thank you for providing it. And that I will sometime be a light for you as well. That's the journey. That's the balance of it. The light and the dark. This was my week to receive, and next time it will be one of them. And that's how we come together. And that's what makes us so rich, right? Is those experiences. So, all right, my friends, go out, practice the actions this week. Please, you guys have great things to give and offer. Give your gratitude, get out there, do this work. Join the summit. Again, laughinglotuswellness.com. Otherwise, until next week, we've got guests. We got Dr. Natalie Marr coming in next Thursday. I'm super fired up about that. We always have a good time. She and I are so fun together. Like, we just have really great energy. So come and join us for that. You get to hear some from her as well. So next Thursday, I've got somebody live. Will be on Instagram only, so do know that. And otherwise, you guys, I will be around. And if you ever have questions, comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat or direct message me anytime. Otherwise, until next time, my friends, this is Jen sending you blessings, loving light, and supporting you on your path to purpose. Take care, everybody.